Good enough. Good enough. It's crooked. There's a circle.
Not as crooked as our politicians.
All right, I got a marker. A typical election where you've got a Republican running against a Democrat on average. Okay, an average district. Out of all the people who live in that district, how many people do you need to mobilize? And by mobilize, I mean you go find them and get them to the polls to vote to win an election. Okay? Now, your first thought should be, I need 50% plus one. You've got to have a majority, right? But of everybody that's living in the district, well, you have to get 50% plus one of everybody that's living in the district because of what? What's the very first reason that there's a large group of people that you can safely ignore? Minors? Exactly. Minors, who else are not eligible to vote? Minors, not just illegals, any non-citizen, legal or illegal, can't vote. And in most districts, felons, right? All right. So, we just eliminated a bunch of people. 60% of the general population on average is eligible to vote. 40% aren't eligible. So you can ignore 40% of the population. Don't have to worry about it. So 60% are eligible to vote. So now, okay, 30% plus one, right? Well, no, why not? There's another large portion of this 60% that you can safely ignore. Who are they? Who said that? Not registered. Not registered to vote. Exactly right. So about 2/3 of the eligible actually register to vote. Okay? So now we're down to 40%. 40% registered to vote. So 20% plus one, right? 20% plus one is who we need to go find, mobilize them, get them out to vote. No. Why not? You're shaking your head. They don't vote, right? They don't vote. On average, of the registered voters, you get about 60%, 60% of the vote of registered. Okay? Gosh, now we're down to about 24% of the population that's actually voting. 12% plus one is the magic number, right? No. You're right. There's another two groups of people that you can safely ignore in an election. You don't have to worry about getting them out to vote. Okay? Now I'm getting really small, and that's okay. I wrote an R right here. 1/3 of the voting public, 1/3, are going to, on average, always vote Republican no matter what. Convicted killer, child molester, run as a Republican, they're going to get the vote because they're Republican. Well, guess what? Those people, you don't have to worry about them. They're going to come out and vote anyway. You don't have to go get them and tell them to vote. Okay? So 1/3 of 24, that's 8%. Okay, don't worry. I know you can't read my handwriting. 8% gone. Well, guess what? There's another large portion you don't have to worry about getting them out to vote. You actually hope they don't come out and vote, right? Generally, the Democrats, right? Another 1/3, okay, they're gone. Democrats, poof. You don't have to worry about getting them out to vote. Then you got this other small sliver who are going to vote third party. Right, ha-ha. Well, you don't have to worry about them. They are important sometimes. In a very close election, they can swing the election one way or another. But generally speaking, they're not going to, you don't have to worry about them. So gosh, we got rid of 8%, 2% about that vote third party. Guess what we're down to? 6%. 6% of the population, on average, control the vote. Control how it's going to be. 3% plus one. We're talking about a House race. That's not much. That's hundreds, not thousands. Hundreds of people that we need to mobilize, go find them, get them out to vote in order to swing an election. This is what generally people call the swing voter. Now I know most of us, when we think about swing voter, put that up before I mark myself. We think, those are the people just whatever way the wind blows, they're oatmeal, kind of mushy. No, they're the single issue voters. And whatever politician says and shows that they're going to vote for their issue, that's who they're going to support. They're actually very important people. And that's the people that Harry, myself, Dave, and Seth are always looking for. They're you, hopefully. Because if your dyed-in-the-wool Republican representative votes against guns, I certainly hope you're going to vote against him, no matter who's running against him. Wait a minute, what if it's a Democrat? They're going to...
Right in.
What difference does it make? Exactly. Exactly. Now, there's another little thing in South Carolina, largely. What is the most important election in South Carolina?
Primary.
Is it the one in November? Or is it the one in June? It's the one in June, because by that time, after the June election's done, you know who your representative is going to be. In most districts, there are a few swing districts in South Carolina, but not many. So you got to be involved in June. 3% plus 1. That is why the Tea Party movement, which in reality was a very small percentage of South Carolinians, but it was a huge part of this 3%. And the politicians understand and know this if they're smart. They'll suffer the consequences whether they're smart or don't. But most of them are smart enough and they understand that a very small percentage of the population actually controls the election. Whether it's the November election, which it will be in some number of districts in South Carolina, or the June election. And this same principle holds in the June election, believe me, the primaries. It's just not Republicans and Democrats, it's establishments and Tea Party type people, right? Different names, but same principle. And it's even easier because in a primary election, these numbers are a whole lot smaller. The number of people that you have to influence to get them out to vote is smaller in the June elections than the November elections. So you have to find fewer people to affect the elections. And the politicians know this. So I said they're nice. They like to get along with people. They hate confrontation, generally speaking. Some of them like it. My Senator Knotts, I think he loved it. Former Senator Knotts. I do love saying that. So, politicians are nice. I keep coming back to this. They don't like confrontation. They don't like it from you. They don't like it in the State House. The problem is, if you let them, don't give them confrontation at home, right? They're going to also avoid it in the State House, which means they're going to do exactly what their leadership tells them to do, and they're not going to go up against the Democrats very hard because they're not going to like confrontation there either, and it all draws to the middle. The nature of politicians and the nature of us allows politics to all get sucked right into the middle, which is where we're stuck. And nothing strong will happen. We will pass no strong legislation in South Carolina unless we hold our politicians personally accountable. And it's very simply, politely as you want to, helping them understand the consequences for their bad actions, which is losing their next election, which is what they really want. I'm going to tell you, most of these politicians, they have thoughts of what am I trying to say? They decided to run for a reason because they have ideas and strong positions on things, right? I mean, they believe something. Something made them want to run. But the desire to get reelected will allow them to justify in their mind betraying their deepest held feelings so they can get reelected. So that after this election, then I can fight for what I really believe in. Because if I lose this election, I won't even be here to fight for what I really believe in. So I can compromise this time, right? And fight for it harder next time. It's just that there really is never any next time, because the next time they got to run through the same cycle again. Yes, sir.
How would you supply the congressional election in Charleston where the Democrats just recently won? So now, let's hear your take on that, because yesterday a friend of mine was down there talking to the party chairman, and he said, don't worry, we have a few ideas. So my wife was friends with Andre Bauer, so we threw out the idea, maybe it might be good to get reelected. Now, I know he was lieutenant governor, but probably be better than a Democrat.
Okay, so the gentleman was asking about how does this apply to the Congressional District 1 election in Charleston. We're about out of time, so I'll just give you a really brief answer. It applies exactly and specifically down there, even more so because that is a swing district, right? One can get elected as easy as the other. And so you got a Democrat elected. And ostensibly you want a Republican elected. Republican or Democrat, I don't really care as long as they're voting the right way, right? That's what we really care about. And so you go and you find people who are people like us, right? Pro-gun, pro-life, who are willing to come out and vote. You recruit a good candidate who's going to be good, right? Strong, not middle of the road, not mealy mouth, and then you get them out to vote. I mean, it applies specifically. So the real work is finding the people, getting them on a list, communicating with them, and getting them out to vote. Or the rest of the year that's not election time, it's the same thing. Finding the people, getting on a list, communicating with them, and getting them to call their legislator to do the right thing. So when you see groups like the Policy Council and RINO Hunt and Freedom Action Network, Palmetto Gun Rights, South Carolina Campaign for Liberty, you see us asking you to sign up for our email lists. Well, there's a reason for that, because y'all are the power behind our organizations. Without you, we really can't do anything. It's the people who take the information that we give you and then call your legislator and help them understand that you will replace them if they don't do the right thing. That's how things happen. That's how we got the House to pass a weaker version of constitutional carry a year ago. Because Jonathan Hill forced them to go on the record. We then communicated that information to you, and all those Republicans, 71, I think, Republicans who voted against constitutional carry, bringing it out of committee, they felt the heat. And as the saying goes, when I feel the heat, I see the light. They turned around and wanted to get constitutional carry out and done. Now, it was a weak, watered-down version. We've got some more work to do to get our real version passed, which Jonathan Hill is sponsoring. When Planned Parenthood was about to be refunded, and the Family Caucus had made a compromise so that they would allow Planned Parenthood to be funded so they could get a vote on a heartbeat bill. That was their choice and their decision, their compromise. But see, they're not allowed to compromise. We don't let them do that. So Jonathan alerted people. People made phone calls. And the Family Caucus, who are generally our friends, they got a spine because of what y'all did. And they did the right thing. Not only did they get a spine, but they were given a reason to go back to Jay Lucas or whoever they made the deal with to say, hey, you know what? I know this is what you wanted us to do, but man, look at all these people called. Look at all these phone calls. Look at all these emails. Look at all these postcards. If I don't do this, I'm not going to be here next year. So I know we made a deal, but we've got to defund Planned Parenthood. This is what my constituents want me to do. So not only are you giving them a spine, you're also giving them a way they can go back to their leadership and say, sorry, this is more important to me right now. And you give them a reason to do the right thing. We're out of time, aren't we, Harry?
My phone is my clock and I can't see it. I don't know what time it is.
5 after. Right?
Yep, 5 after. I told you we ended at 8, and I've already been 5 right. So I'm going to end, and question or two, or I don't know what we want to do. So thank you very much, and I hope I've made a little bit of sense to everybody.